Hey, how is everybody doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and to you I say Happy New Year's Eve, and we are going to talk about Nintendo in 2021. So like I said, Happy New Year's Eve, because I am recording and making this video early in the morning on Thursday, New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2020. The year is over. Hallelujah. And with any luck, I have enough time before I have to start work in a couple of hours to get this video done, edited, and ready to be posted later on in the day. So fingers crossed that when I say Happy New Year's Eve, it's actually New Year's Eve by the time most of you first watch this video. And since it was New Year's Eve, I thought it would be appropriate to try to squeeze one last video for the year in and actually discuss Nintendo's potential for 2021, which has already been a pretty popular and hot topic for a lot of people to discuss on YouTube, people who cover Nintendo and gaming. And I did manage to make a video sort of recapping and revisiting Nintendo's 2020, because as we know, the year was so wacky for just so many different reasons. And Nintendo, I think, had a pretty unique year, and they found a unique and very successful path through that year, while also not releasing a whole lot of new stuff. But while I still had 24 hours to go, I do want to get in a quick, short conversation about their potential for 2021. I obviously have opinions and feelings on it, and I do want to be a little bit a part of this discussion while it is still technically 2020. And so, Nintendo in 2021, man, what do we expect? Are they going to have a banger year like a lot of us are predicting? And I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be unique here. Yeah, I do kind of think that there's a great chance that they have an absolutely fantastic year. How many times over the past couple of months have you heard me say that I was already predicting that going into 2020? When it was the end of 2019 and we were all gearing up for a brand new 2020, the beginning of a new decade, I had very high expectations and hopes for Nintendo in 2020. It just felt like it was time for them to really unleash again. And I mean, we all thought they were going to be giving us a new Zelda, a new Pikmin, Bayonetta 3, No More Heroes 3. We were going to get a new Mario Kart, Metroid Prime trilogy was going to happen. Yada, 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 the list goes on and on. A lot of us felt, and I definitely felt, that 2020 was going to be that kind of year. But with the pandemic changing things and slowing things down, and obviously making it hard for Nintendo to release a lot of products, to have Nintendo Directs, of course E3 itself didn't happen, it became obvious that 2020 was not going to be that year. So now, the running theory that I tend to agree with is that maybe a lot of their biggest projects for this year, with the exception of Animal Crossing, maybe got moved into 2021. And whereas we were expecting Bayonetta 3 and Breath of the Wild 2 and a Metroid Prime trilogy, yada yada, to come out in 2020, maybe Nintendo said, we're just going to move those to 2021, and suddenly next year seems like it could be absolutely stacked to the hilt for the Switch. Of course, it should be said that, honestly, there is a chance that 2021 turns out to be just another standard year. Maybe it comes across more like a 2019 than it does a 2017, right? Where they had so many incredible games in that first year of the Switch. Yes, we would like that to be what happens in 2021, and it probably will, but it might not. So before I go any further talking about all the exciting stuff, it should be noted that maybe that doesn't happen. It could just be another standard year for the Switch, and if that happens, I personally won't be super upset about it. Yes, you know, being maybe disappointed we don't see so many great things is one thing, and it's also different than being angry, and I don't see myself being angry if it's another standard year, but I obviously would like it to be another fantastic year, right? Maybe let's get a little bit of makeup for what happened in 2020. And that includes not only game announcements, but also Nintendo Directs. I will remind you guys of an opinion that I stated in a recent video about this topic, that I am of the belief that traditional Nintendo Directs will most likely make a return next year in 2021. Some people think that that won't happen, and that maybe Nintendo has officially moved on, and because of 2020, they found a way to just move forward without them. And yeah, that's possible, but I don't really just feel that. You know, I'm going just on my gut feeling here as a lifelong fan of 40 years, you know, of Nintendo and video games and the whole hobby and everything. And I just have this feeling that a Nintendo Direct will return in 2021. And like I said in my video about the topic, the main reason is I think that they're still too successful, and I think that they still drive too, you know, so much hype and profit and excitement and interest in their brand of Nintendo video games and of the Switch, that I just have to feel that Nintendo probably still sees a value in doing them. Now, they obviously cost Nintendo money to do, so at some point over the next few years, Nintendo may start to realize, can we save money by not producing Nintendo Directs and still generate the same kind of hype and sales success without them? And eventually that may happen, but in 2021, I personally feel like they're coming back. To tell you the truth, I even expect one to happen in the first quarter of the year. A lot of people already talking about the January Direct. We're going to get one in the first week of January, which would be next week, by the way. We're going to get our first full blowout Nintendo Direct after the whole year where we didn't get any traditional Directs. And I don't personally feel the January Direct this time around. Maybe I'm proven wrong, and that'll be amazing. But I'm not really feeling that. I'm thinking more just a quarter one, so maybe a February or a March big Direct to start to prepare us for what could be happening in 2021. Of course, we already know two pretty high-profile games coming out in February, Bravely Default 2 and the Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury thing. So that could prove to be a pretty successful February for Nintendo. They've got something in the first 2 months of the year that could be really good for them. And then once those games release, that's where I think maybe a March Nintendo Direct could make a lot of sense. And that's where we could start to learn about some of the big games that might be coming out this year. And we already know of, Monster Hunter Rise in March and No More Heroes 3 sometime in 2021. Those are two other games we know to expect. But what about a game like a Bayonetta 3? What about a surprise like a Pikmin 4? What about a Metroid Prime trilogy? Well, I tend to feel like all of those games have a great chance at happening in 2021. Yes, it's unfortunate that Bayonetta 3 continues to be a mystery, and it's very frustrating, and they keep giving updates and saying the game is progressing well, and that's all they're telling us. And it's like, come on, man, this game was announced like, 3 years ago, I want to say? 2017 Game Awards in December? And we've heard nothing about it and seen nothing about it since, and I really feel 2020 was the year the game was meant to release, but I think the pandemic pushed it. And so because of that, I feel like, yes, 2021 makes sense. And I feel like the first big Direct of the year, if we do get one, I personally am predicting that is a great time to see Bayonetta 3 for the first time. So I think we'll see it, per my prediction only, just a theory, in the first quarter Nintendo Direct that I expect to happen. I think we're going to see Bayonetta 3. I think it's going to be confirmed to release this year. It could even be something that releases in like the spring or summer. That could be like a first half 2021 game. I really think there's a chance that they give just a 3 or 4 month lead time, and then that game comes out sooner than later. And boy, will that be incredibly exciting. I am somebody who believes Breath of the Wild 2 will be releasing in 2021, which means I obviously think, the fall holiday shopping season is the most ideal time to make it their big holiday title. So I expect an October or a November release, and I would think around E3 time is the ideal time for Nintendo to finally tell us that stuff. Here is the official name, here is the release window, and, holiday 2021, and here's a new trailer and some gameplay, and maybe they do a bit of a blowout on that game, like they did with Breath of the Wild, or even Mario Odyssey at E3 beforehand. So, assuming E3 happens, I think that's going to be the big Breath of the Wild 2 info dump, and again, I do expect to see that game release next year in 2021. Now, the Metroid Prime trilogy is another game I want to talk about, because, of course, I want to talk about Metroid. And, I'm going to say what I've been saying. I think that there's a chance we get one or maybe, in an amazing world, 2 Metroid releases next year. It's a lofty goal. These are bold predictions, and I know that. But for myself, as the mega Metroid fan you guys know that I am, I just kind of feel like there's a good chance, I mean, the Metroid Prime trilogy to me makes sense, A, because we thought it was coming for years now, and B, because it's the 35th anniversary, and I also discussed this on a video last week that I started to realize with the 35th anniversary, the fact that the Prime trilogy already exists makes it so easy for Nintendo to bare minimum make them HD and put the trilogy on the Switch, right? Granted, maybe they do more, they add extra content, they update the visuals, maybe they remake some of the actual graphic assets or whatever they want to do. They could go above and beyond just an HD remaster. But even if they do that bare minimum, I think we'd all be excited. And yeah, kind of think 2021 makes a lot of sense. I've also talked about a 2D Metroid game, whether it's a brand new game, a release of Samus Returns in HD on the Switch, or even a remaster or remake of something like a Metroid Fusion or a Super Metroid. I also think there's a chance we see something like that sometime soon. And I'm not dead set on that being 2021, but I think there's a good chance. So Do we possibly get 2 Metroid releases next year? I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not going to say one way or another, but I like the chances of one or both of them happening, so I wanted to bring it up. Then the last big thing to talk about are just surprises, things that we don't even know about, especially stuff that would be first party from Nintendo. Will Pikmin 4 finally get confirmed and released in 2021 after 6 years of talking about it? I think there's a good chance. I thought Pikmin was going to happen this year. And I'm not talking about Pikmin 3 Deluxe, although, to be fair, that did release. I thought a new Pikmin was going to happen in 2020. Maybe that's a project that got moved to next year. So maybe we see a Pikmin. Maybe we see something like even a brand new Fire Emblem game already. That could be something that releases or is confirmed this year. Maybe we get a new Mario game. That's something we've all been talking about for a while. Is it time for Mario Odyssey 2? Would they even make a Mario Odyssey 2? I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I think there's 50% chance it's an Odyssey 2, 50% chance it's another brand new game and a whole new idea. I would prefer that to Odyssey 2, but if Odyssey 2 was the game they announced, of course I would still be like over the moon excited, no pun intended. I think that would be really great. And yeah, I guess there's a slight chance that something like that could happen this year. Maybe they give us another 2D Mario game instead of a 3D Mario game, but it would be really incredible either way. We also know that Monolith Soft is working on some kind of new title that is not expected to be a Xenoblade game. So it'll be really cool to see if that's a new IP or maybe a different franchise. Maybe they're remastering something for Nintendo like a Star Fox or whatever. Who knows what they could be doing? But they're experts and masters in the craft of big, huge open worlds. So I hope that they're making something really epic and really exciting and a ton of fun, and I would love to see that show up next year. I think there's a slight chance. We could talk about Retro Studios. I mean, what have they been doing besides Metroid Prime 4? Are they even still working on the other game they were making? We don't know. I want to believe they've got a team still on that game and a team on Metroid Prime 4, but tough to say. So is there a chance we see their other title? I mean, it's super slim, but I guess it's possible. Which also kind of brings me back to Metroid Prime 4. I already talked about 2 Metroid games that might release in 2021, but would we also see Metroid Prime 4? And yes, I actually do believe, I have a very strong belief and a lot of faith in the idea that we might finally see Metroid Prime 4. We might get the first tease, a first trailer, a glimpse of gameplay, maybe a glimpse of what Samus is going to look like, you know, confirmation of first person. Some people think there's a chance the game won't be first person. I do not believe that. I think it's absolutely going to be first person, and so maybe showing a quick tease of gameplay would confirm that for people who still have doubts. And just, I mean, come on, man, we want to see this game. I need to see Metroid Prime 4. I'm so excited for the game. I'm also very patient. I don't need the game to release yet. I want you to take your time making the game. But boy, would I love to just see a tease, just give us a taste. And I think after, it'll be 4 years as of June 2021, 6 months from now, it'll be 4 years since the game was first announced. You know, the reset in development is a unique case for sure, but regardless of that, it was still announced 4 years ago. And so I feel like Nintendo would want to say, you guys have earned a tease. I mean, at this point, the game has been in development since the restart for over a year. Almost 2 years, basically. So, yeah, show us the game, man. Show us you've got something you can share with us. I know it, Nintendo. Please give it to us in 2021. So, I know there's a lot more things that I could be talking about and predicting here, but I wanted to, just kind of get this sort of quick, succinct conversation in about this. Granted, quick for me is still probably like a 15-minute video, so hopefully you enjoyed the 15 or 20 minutes here. But I think these are the big swings and just the big kind of concepts I wanted to discuss for next year. You know, Breath of the Wild 2, Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime Trilogy, Pikmin 4. You know, are things like this going to happen? Who knows? We already know about Mario 3D World, Bravely Default 2, No More Heroes 3, hallelujah, and of course Monster Hunter Rise. So we got 4 high-profile games we already know about. 3 are actually third-party exclusive games, which is pretty awesome, man. Nintendo's good about that kind of stuff. Not much on the first-party front. The only thing we know about is Mario 3D World, which is a last-generation port anyway. You know, we expect Breath of the Wild 2, but it's not confirmed yet, so it's only a guess. It's up to Nintendo to show us this stuff. Are we going to see Nintendo Directs return? I think so. Maybe they don't. So at the end of the day, these are my quick thoughts and random predictions about Nintendo next year. What do you guys think about my predictions and my stuff that I discussed here today? And what are your own thoughts and predictions for Nintendo next year? You think they're going to have a great year, or maybe another average or slow year like we had this year? Whatever you think, talk about it below. Again, Happy New Year. Please be safe, have a ton of fun, do smart things around this time, and just have a great time. And I'll see you guys on the flip side next year in 2021, right? How crazy is that? So that's it. Signing off for 2020. This is it for the year for me. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride, you guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you next time, next year, on another video.